Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. We're here for the customer sales and marketing webinar, and we're excited everyone's here today. We've got Whitney.
Hi.
And Kelsey.
Yes.
And myself, Jeremy, on the line today. Hopefully, as you guys get dialed in, get logged in so you can see our screen and things like that, you'll be able to participate in today's webinar. We've got a pretty exciting topic today. I'm actually really looking forward to this. Creating customer upgrade programs. This is something that is near and dear to my heart just because it's something that I did a lot in at a previous company when I worked for a security dealer. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the things that I've learned over the career and sharing some of the things that this team has worked really hard to build for you to make this easy for you as well. So we'll be looking forward to some of that participation from you guys. Looking forward to participation from you guys and making sure that we can cover all the things that you're hoping to get out of this session today. So before we dive in, a couple things of housekeeping. We're recording this, right?
Yes. Yep. So we'll place it on YouTube and then on social media, dealer portal, blog, all of that later today.
Okay. So you'll get links to that as well. And then we want to participate, right?
Yes. I'll be answering your questions. So as you type into the chat or into the questions box, I will ask your questions live to the experts, and we will get live responses. So talk to me. I want to say hi.
Yeah, so, find that section on your GoToWebinar control panel that says chat or questions. Type in where you're from. I think something interesting that happened to us this weekend. Yesterday morning, we woke up, and there was a blanket of snow on the ground.
Did you get that?
Snow?
No.
We had snow on the ground. First snow down here in the valley. There's been a lot of snow up in the mountains, but first snow down there. My kids, it was 6 a.m., and my kids, all 5 of them, literally all came in all at once. Snow, just freaking out, jumping all over.
6 a.m. on Sunday?
They, for some reason, decided to get up, and of course, when one looked out the window and saw snow, then all the rest, they went and woke all the others up, and then they all came in one giant army and clobbered us in bed. So, but it was fun to see the snow. My kids went out and made little snowmen, miniature ones.
I was going to say by little, we literally.
And then they put them on their breakfast plate and proceeded to eat them, and I had to tell them about pollution and how you shouldn't eat the first snow of the season. And
I really feel like
yeah.
So funny.
So,
I don't know.
Hopefully you guys had something fun this weekend. We'd love to hear what you guys did, if there was anything momentous or interesting. Welcome, Paul. Looks like Paul's coming in. David from, Paul's from Dartmouth. Nice. Mm-hmm. And David's calling in from Texas. We've got Jerry from Greater Washington, D.C. Is that different than the Lesser Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought you should answer that. You're from Virginia.
Ooh, Mark Buckley hikes Paulina Peak in Oregon.
That's hiking. Are you currently hiking?
No, it's what he did this week.
He
always goes somewhere fun.
Imagine how much better of a story it is, though.
Oh, like he's out hiking and doing the webinar at the same time? Yeah, possibly. Patrick, welcome from Minnesota. How do you say that name? That's a beautiful name. Abdela from Zanesville, Ohio. Welcome. Mark says you could see Mount Adams in Washington State from Central Oregon. Wow, that's
cool.
Incredible. I bet that was a great hike. Mary from Nebraska. We got or New Brunswick. So, all sorts of people jumping in today. So, as a general rule, you guys, if this is your first Qualtrics webinar, you've logged in today, you're on mute, so you can't be able to talk to us, but that doesn't mean we don't want your participation. So please, chat in your questions, chat in your comments. We want to make sure that this is a webinar that is not just for us, but for you as well. We're not just going to share some PowerPoint slides and talk. We want you guys to ask your questions, make your comments, share the experiences you've had in creating customer upgrade programs so that we can share them with the rest of the world.
It makes it more fun.
It does. It makes it a lot of fun. So keep those questions coming in. Let's go ahead and dive into some of our content today. The first thing I want to show is I kind of made this slide of the customer life cycle. And if you look at what typically the customer acquisition life cycle is, it's really only those first two steps, right? The sale or the install. Now, you might be doing door-to-door sales, you might be doing phone sales, maybe doing in-person sales, but there's some kind of sale process going on there. Some of you are even doing web sales, which is awesome. Then there's the install part, which could be professional or it could be DIY. Now, the sad part is most of the time that customer acquisition is really the only thing that our dealers do. And I think it's a big mistake. I think there's huge opportunity if you continue to carry on the conversation. If you do any kind of customer life cycle communication or things like that, we'd love to hear about it. Type it into your comments right now. We'd love to hear what you do. If you think about year 1, year 2, and year 3, there's kind of this customer retention timeline here. And generally speaking, you don't think that they're going to get poached or stolen by another company within the first, 2.5 years. But if you're doing 36-month agreements, which I know many of you are, about the 6-month mark from the end of the year is when they become vulnerable to a takeover. So that's why I have that little red section there, that takeover danger zone. So if you don't have something in place there, you potentially run the risk of losing your customer. Now, many people, and in the security industry has been notorious for this, have believed that security contracts, there was some data probably 10 years ago that suggested that security contracts last anywhere from 5 to 7 years. And that's just simply not the case anymore. While that was true for rubber button keypads and security systems years ago, now people are understanding what technology is. They're looking for the latest technology. And I think you're going to see, and you've probably seen with your own numbers, that those attrition numbers have gone up significantly after or near the end of the contract. So it's definitely not something you can take for granted. You need to really have something to create a customer engagement cycle. And we want to show you on this next slide here. If you create a customer engagement program, so instead of this typical only reactive support, when we say reactive support, it means the only time I talk to my customers if they call me, if they email me, if there's a problem, I'm going to react to what they're doing. We suggest instead that you engage with a proactive customer engagement program. If you're not using the Alarm.com customer connections already, you should. Social media, email, proactive phone calls, a technician pop-in, surveys and offers. And we're gonna go through each of these in detail to help you build out a customer engagement program. But then that also lends immediately into a customer upgrade program. And whether that's through loyalty or because of the sunset of 3G, or just to defend yourself against takeovers, increase your usage, things like that. There's lots of different reasons to do a customer upgrade program, and we're going to talk about that today. So when we think of upgrades, we think of devices, but we also think of upgrading the whole entire panel, the whole entire system, and all of them fall in between there. So I want to show you just for a brief moment, because I mentioned earlier that I've got experience doing these kind of programs. This is an example. It's kind of busy. This is an example of the customer upgrade program that I created, the customer touchpoint program that I created for a company that I worked for. And you can see
he's an overachiever.
It took a long time to build this. And it was a whole team of
I am
people.
on board.
Yeah,
too.
and there were proactive touch points all on the line that worked on the things that they were doing when they first get installed, after they get installed, and then throughout their life cycle. And you can see that whole bottom section is all the reactive touch points. If they called in and did this, we had a series of emails that would go out, or a phone call that would be triggered and things like that. So we had a lot of things we were doing to really try and increase the customer attrition, decrease the customer attrition, increase the customer usage, and it made a tremendous impact. In fact, we started measuring NPS scores, which is Net Promoter Scores. We'll talk about those briefly too later on. But we were measuring them before we started this program, we were at a -12. Now, as a reference,
gosh, I remember this.
You do remember this?
Yes.
You helped me with this program. So we were at a -12. By the time we were done with the program, we ran it for 2 years, I think it was. We had about a +40, which as a reference point, Apple's NPS scores are generally on 70. I think Comcast is 12. Verizon is 20. So we got up to 40 from -12, which was really
that's amazing.
By doing just by doing this. That's right. So there is a lot of work, but we're going to show you some of the ways you can structure this and hopefully help you be able to build one the right way. So the first thing is the Alarm.com customer connections. If you're not using customer connections right now, go try it out. Go talk to your Alarm.com representative. Go on your Alarm.com dealer portal. Try it out. There's some really valuable stuff in here. Maybe it's and you can see the list of different things that, you can see. You can getting started, how to download the app, arming reminders, creating logins, managing your users, getting notifications. And then there's device specific ones like, how to use your thermostat, your camera, garage opener, a lock. So these are nice, easy little emails that you can implement out through the Alarm.com portal, and it will automatically give your customers a little more information that they would have if you weren't reaching out to them. So it's a great foundation. These generally only work for the first, few weeks or things like that. So you have to remember, if I'm going to engage on a sales perspective and do a really good job talking to my customer, my technician is going to come in and do a really good job installing, doing the customer training, things like that. And then I'm going to do a few of these customer connections emails. The customer is going to have this feeling of like, oh my gosh, my company really loves me. They're really working with me. And then after those customer connections emails stop, You can't just leave them in silence. You've got to have something to keep going. So remember, the whole goal of this is to build something that allows you to get to the point where when you're ready to ask them for an upgrade, they're loyal and they're excited and they're ready to do it. So another thing you could do is social media. Here's just some examples of social media that Qualys and some of our partners do. Kelsey, you published a video just the other day about how to get disarm notifications on your device. Great little video. You could take that same video, share it on your Facebook page. Maybe you want to take that video and put it on your YouTube page or things like that. Great content there. Alarm.com has a great little blurb about their smart thermostat. Yale had a great, and here's a great example of non-product related social media. Today we fall back, comment and tell us how you're going to use that extra hour. That's got a nice picture of someone stretching and getting out of bed. So,
I get out of bed every
you do?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So again, just examples of creating a conversation, doing something, whether you're sharing a product or you're sharing a way to use a product or you're sharing something unrelated, creating that social media conversation really helps engage with your customers. I would be curious to know, are you on social media? Is your company doing social media? And if so, what are you doing? And have you shared any of the false content that we created? And what kind of reaction did you get? We'd love to hear about it. Mm-hmm. Any questions or comments up to this point, Whitney?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I was hoping for a question so I could take a break. Email newsletters. Some people like these, some people don't. Obviously, if you're going to use a service like we use, MailChimp is what we use for ours. It's fairly inexpensive. I think there's a lot of other ones out there. Constant Contact's doing a lot of marketing right now around their email services. There's a lot of different companies you can use out there. I wouldn't recommend using something like Outlook for your emails because you generally can't send mass emails that way. You want to try and create some kind of email service. So maybe do a search for some of the things that work for you. But let's talk not necessarily about what to use, but what to put in there. So first off, frequency. Base your frequency on how often you want to do a newsletter based on your ability to create content. If you struggle to create content to fill a newsletter, a one-page newsletter, and you can't come up with enough content in a month, then maybe you should be doing a quarterly newsletter. Maybe instead, you've got so much content and so many things to say to your customer that you could do it monthly or even weekly. The other thing to consider is how often do my customers really want to hear me, and is that content valuable enough? Okay. Think about the content itself. You're building value in the company, your mission, your products, and your services. You could do include tips and tricks. Things like, hey, if you want to download the mobile app, you can, disarm from your phone. It's a nice little tip. Device spotlight. Hey, did you know that a flood sensor will do this and this and this? And you can talk about it. New product announcement. Maybe you want to start rolling out a new product that you haven't previously been doing. Maybe you weren't ever selling the carbon monoxide sensor, and you want to say, hey, a new product, carbon monoxide sensor, come get it now. Service or feature highlight. Maybe you're actually going to feature some of the things that you do as your service. You're going to talk about geofencing, or you're going to talk about adding an image sensor to your program, things like that, or to your system. You could do a highlight of employees, support employee. Here's Whitney, support employee of the month. She's in customer service, and she's our superstar. She loves customers because of this. Or here's Kelsey, she's in tech support, and she loves customers because of this. And you can put a picture of her in there, have a little testimonial. Oh, I took a call the other day from someone in Ohio, and they were so nice. I love interacting with all my customers, things like that. Little things like that help to humanize your company, and it helps to create this feeling that we're not just out there to protect against the bad guys, but we're real people. If you have a problem with something, we're here to contact us, call us, talk to us, things like that. We're here for you. So it creates a really great camaraderie between your employees and your customers. And the other thing it does is great for employees to feel like they're getting spotlighted for all of their customers. So I've had times in the past, we used to do these employee spotlights at a previous company, and there were times when people would call in and be like, wait, are you the Whitney that was in the newsletter? And like, yeah, that's me. And they almost feel like they're talking to a celebrity. So it's a fun little thing to do for your employees and even for your customers.
No, that's
exactly.
Awesome. That's Kelsey.
Exactly.
Celebrity.
Technician spotlight, same thing. Those guys are out working hard. They're doing some great things. And if you can recognize this, the other thing that spotlighting an employee or even a technician or somebody like that does is all the other employees in the company look at that and say, well, I want to be the one spotlighted. I better start working really hard to get my standards up so that the company's going to want to show me off to their customers. If you've got any company videos or commercials, which we have those on the dealer portal, yep, so they could download those. You could share those on your newsletter. You could do upgrade offers. You could do referral offers, things like that. So we got a lot of content available on the Qualtrics dealer portal. You can start grabbing that stuff from there. Same thing for social media, and build out a newsletter. Even if all it is a simple newsletter with maybe 2 or 3 panes of content, it's something. It's something to talk to your customers, and it creates a conversation.
Well, and look at newsletters that you like. So if you like getting Alexa newsletters, or you like getting newsletters from whoever, look at what they're doing and what you like about it, and then put it into what you want to send your customers with them.
We've started doing that. So it's something that we've looked at. Alexa is a good example. Is we all use Alexa, so we want our emails to be similar. Oh, Alexa, stop! This is the worst.
So nosy.
She's always trying to butt into our webinar. All right. Any questions about newsletters?
No.
Okay, let's keep going. Proactive phone calls. Everyone knows that if a customer is going to call you up and say I've got a problem with something, or I need some help with something, or I got a question, that we're going to take that phone call. But how often do we proactively reach out to those customers? Again, this is based on your volume and your team bandwidth. Most people are not doing this, but a proactive phone call. Whitney, your team implemented that call at our previous company. At day 90, we would call out and say, hey, is everything okay? Are you still using your system okay? You'd use the Alarm.com data for whether or not they were using their system to say, it looks like you haven't activated your system in 30 days. Is there a problem with it? Is there anything we can do? And it was from all of those calls that we were able to identify what all the reasons why people were calling and what they needed. And that's what actually was the first step in creating our help videos that are on the panel today, the video tutorials. So having those phone calls, reaching out to your customers, understanding what their pain points are, is going to help you identify how can we improve our sales process, how can we improve our technician process, what are some of the things we could do in our email campaigns. Maybe you're using Alarm.com Customer Connection, but it's not uncovering 1 or 2 things that you could have done if you put out an extra email or 2 or put it in your newsletter or things like that. So
I know that when I implemented this with my team, they did not love the idea at first. We were mostly inbound, so the thought of doing outbound calls was not fantastic. But one thing that we noticed is with a lot of customers, they felt like we were on their team.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an us versus them scenario. They were more apt to give us information and to help us be better. And then when we call it back and say, hey, we changed our policy because you said this, and now we're going to give you a light bulb, or I don't remember what we gave them, but they loved it. And then I was also part of the retention team, so we call people near the end of their agreement, and the people that we had talked to throughout the contract, they had a lot better chance of renewing their agreement.
Sure, because they felt like you cared about them, right? They felt like this is a company who's taken the time to reach out to me, make sure everything's okay, and I'm more likely to want to continue with a company like that.
It's scary at first. I mean, especially if you've never done it before, it's really intimidating, but it pays off.
Absolutely.
I think, too, with you continuing to talk to them, it would be perfect for referrals. Because if you're changing things and you're really taking into consideration what they say, they'd be likely to give you names for other people.
Whenever you get in contact with someone, whether they called into you because of some reason or you're calling out to them, this while I've got you principle that we've got on the screen here, I think is critical. Yeah. How's it going? Gather testimonials, ask for referrals. You could be, giving them tips. I know you called in about your bill, but hey, while I got you, let me just show you. Are you using that Bluetooth feature? Let me tell you how to use Bluetooth touchless disarming because it's super cool, and I think it's really going to help you out.
Yeah. Well, and especially using the IQ panel, telling them how to do it, setting it up is a few steps and you're done. And they'll likely even remember how to do it by the time they get home.
Yeah.
And for the record, we all come from your side of the table. So we know what it's like to be the dealer and to work customer service, work retention, work marketing. We've been there. We get it.
You do. And it's not to discount it. It is hard. So like Whitney was saying, you're going to start with a team. Let's say you've got 5 people that are all doing inbound customer service. Now to tell, 1 or 2 of those people, hey, by the way, I want you to start calling people randomly out of the blue. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. I signed up for an inbound customer service job, not some outbound sales job.
Absolutely.
But time and time again, they realize those phone calls, without waiting for someone to be angry at them, instead calling proactively and saying, hey, I just want to make sure everything's okay, really ends up being some of the best calls of their career. So, again, if you can do it, if your team has bandwidth, it's a really great thing to do. Another thing that we implemented for a while was the technician pop-in. And I think this is a great thing. You've got technicians out in the field who, maybe they got a canceled appointment, or maybe they wrapped up an appointment early. Maybe they got out to the area, sooner because they thought traffic was going to be heavy or things like that. If you have a way of letting them know what the existing customers are that are close to them, have them pop in there. Hey, I got an appointment down the street. I just thought I'd pop in, make sure everything's going okay. Can I share a tip with you about your system? Oh yeah, let me just show you real quick. Oh, you need help with your Bluetooth? Sure, let me help you with that. Oh, you're not getting your disarm photos, to your phone? Here, let me help you figure that out real quick. Let's log into your Alarm.com account. It's that easy. Well, yeah, I got to run to my next appointment, but it was great to see you. Hope everything is okay. That whole feeling of like popping in just to show that we care. We happen to be in the area. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're just here to help. Tremendous, tremendous effort. And what we found time and time again is that oftentimes those lead to upgrades. A technician could upgrade to another device that perhaps that customer didn't know. Oh yeah, I was thinking about getting that door lock, or I wanted to get a thermostat. Could I do that? Sure. Let me see what, let me put you on the schedule. Let's figure that out and do that for you. So really, really effective if you can make it work. Again, that's a challenge because now you've got to take technicians that are already working hard and say, hey, while you're out there, I also have a list of people that, are in your area. It's going to take some coordination. But if you can do it, it can be really, really cool. Excuse me. Oh, here. Yeah. Any questions, comments?
No.
Silent today.
You guys are so
what the
quiet
heck's going on,
today.
guys?
Thanks for answering questions. You're doing a great job.
Is that what it is? Chelsea, always the optimist. Well, we'll talk to the people regardless of whether or not you're listening in. So hopefully you're listening. Hopefully
You're asleep. Wake up.
Okay, customer engagement surveys. Surveys are critical in my opinion because if you don't understand the pulse of your customer, it's going to be really hard to understand what your pain points are and where to improve. If you just simply look at your attrition numbers and you know that you're losing, let's call it 5% of your customer base, do you know why? Are you doing even surveys of those people that are leaving? Why are they leaving? Why did they choose? Are they choosing a different service, or are they just not getting service anymore at all? From a survey frequency standpoint, I think you should have a post-install survey that helps you understand how your technicians are doing. A 30-day survey that helps you understand if your processes up to that point have made it easy enough for them to get started. A 90-day survey, that's about when the customer is ready for something new and ready, they've engaged enough, and they probably have started to drop off their usage if they're not really fully engaged. A 6-month survey, and then annually after that. And then I'd also recommend a survey after any service call or support call. So if someone came out to their house or someone called, you called in and talked to a representative, have a survey around those as well. And one of the questions you need to make sure you have in there is your NPS, your Net Promoter Score. How likely would you be to refer a friend? If they score that a 9 or a 10, you can consider them a promoter. If they scored a 7 or 8, it's a neutral, and you throw that score out. And if it's a 1 to 6, they're a detractor. So again, how likely would you be on a scale of 1 to 10 to refer a friend? If I say 9, that means I'm doing pretty good. They're probably going to tell their friends about me. If I say 6, they're probably pretty indifferent to you, and there's a good chance that they will maybe even say some bad things about you. So understanding what that Net Promoter Score is a really good one. And then you're going to want to ask some additional questions as well. I like questions that are on a measurable scale. Strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, that kind of scale, where I could take that same question and ask it at the 30-day, the 90-day, and the 6-month and annually mark. So I can now measure trending data on.
You want to be able to quantify the answers.
So if I say I'm this happy today, but then 6 months from now I'm less, that helps you understand what your customer pulse is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't remember.
I have a question. So for your neutral or detractors, is there anything they should be doing to try and get them to be a promoter?
Absolutely. I mean, all these things we talked about and the stuff we're going to talk about here in a moment is all stuff that is going to help them turn from a detractor or a neutral into a promoter. And that's your goal.
Those are the best stories. Because I was on the phones when I first started in the industry, and I can't tell you how many times someone would call in livid and they just yell at you. And when you get off the phone, you feel like this thing. But by the time you're done talking to them, to have them turn around and be like, this was fantastic. You were great. I love your company. I'm going to call back again. I want to work with you. Those are the most rewarding experiences. So just because they're neutral or a detractor doesn't mean you don't want to talk to them. That's just an opportunity to make it better and to create a stronger presence and get, frankly, the best referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you
just have to be willing to dig in and do it.
You do, and sometimes that means doing some things you don't want to do.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
You know, and it doesn't mean that you should adopt a policy where anyone who calls in gets a free panel. You know, that's definitely not the case. You have to be smart about it. You have to be, financially, wise.
That's a whole other webinar.
But yeah,
I'm like thinking
really
about it. I'm like, I want to say that.
Yeah. But as you're building your survey questions, really limit the open-ended questions. If you say things like, what's something we could do better, and just let them type whatever you want, now whoever's collecting and collating your data now has to read through every single one and figure out how to do that. So the more you can do things on a measurable scale, the more you can not only do trend data, but it's also easier to read your results in a real time or a longer time.
I think there's a time and a place for those questions. When you've run out of ideas on how to improve, getting open-ended questions is a really good way to get ideas and to start that. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the idea.
Brainstorming.
Dancing.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was going for. Thank you. To start dancing.
Yeah. I think universal wording is really important too. If I say things like, how happy have you been with your service in the first 30 days, it's harder for me to ask that same question 6 months from now, unless I'm going to say, how happy are you, service, within the first 6 months. Instead, if I just say, how happy are you with your service, I can ask that same question no matter what point in time it is, and then I can trend and I can show you the happiness level of the system over time. So it's a really easy way. Again, universal wording. And again, you still want open-ended questions, maybe one or two, where they can type in their feelings. Maybe you want to say something like, would you like to share a testimonial of your system? That's a great way to capture testimonials through surveys. So again, this is another way you can engage with your customer. And when you send out a survey to a customer, there's an assumption there. Your customer's assuming that if you ask a question, it means you care about the answer. And they're going to hope that you're going to do something with that data. So whether it's in your regular newsletter, hey, here's the results from our survey, we're doing this well, or we got some great feedback, we're going to make these changes, things like that. But they also are expecting that if you're the kind of company that's going to ask, then you're probably the kind of company that's willing to make changes, and therefore they're, again, more likely to want to do business with you, because like, these guys survey me, they must care about my feelings, and therefore when I call in, I know that I'll get a resolution because they've shown enough to take the time to do a survey, so they must care. So again, let's keep going. I don't know if there's any questions.
No, we're good.
You guys are silent today, but that's okay.
Well, I'm answering a couple here.
Customer email upgrade programs through email are pretty critical too. And whether that's, hey, add a new sensor, or hey, do you want to add a door lock or things like that. We have a bunch on the dealer portal now. In fact, we just barely put them on, so that's our gift to you from the webinar today. Free email templates to create your own campaign. So you have the customer connections campaign, then you also have these as well. And we'll talk more about those as we talk into the upgrade from a system standpoint. But these are nice because they've already got some great imagery, videos, text, things like that. You can take and download those HTML files and then use them to put your own logo on it, tweak whatever content you want, change the links to you, things like that. If you're not sure how to do this, we're happy to help walk you through it. Send an email to marketing@qualsys.com. In a nutshell, you'll take this HTML email, you'll then import it into whichever file you're using to say, so let's say you're using MailChimp, you would import that HTML into your email program, and then you'll be able to send it out to whichever your list is from that point. You said you have a question?
Yes. Do you have any recommendations on how to transition to implementing the program you described when the company has no additional resources to dedicate to generating the marketing material and customer outreach?
It's a really great question.
You don't have extra people to call or to write an email.
Yep, no, it's a really good question, and it's something that I'm imagining quite a few of our dealers are in that situation, right? They're looking at their bandwidth and saying, we're busy, we've got so many other things we're doing. In fact, there's a few realities you have to face when you hold your own accounts. We talked about, in the beginning, sometimes people hold their own accounts, and sometimes they sell them as part of a dealer program. But when you hold your own accounts, there's a few realities you have to face. Reality number one is that your trucks are busy collecting new customers, okay? It's hard to say, I'm going to have my technicians do a pop-in because they're busy all day long every day. They don't have time to do a technician pop-in, okay? Or they don't have time to go out and do some proactive upgrades. I mean, if we're talking about upgrading a full system because the 3G sunset's coming, you want to get them on an LTE panel. How are you going to do that if all of your technicians are out doing new installs? You can't deal with those existing customers, right? Your panels. There's a very good possibility that your panels are a mix of old legacy protocols. You might have some Honeywell, you might have some 2 gig, you might have bought a company that had a whole bunch of GE, any number of things. All those things together equals to you a support nightmare, okay? And your support teams are already trying to say, well, I got to get trained on 7 different platforms in order to understand well enough how to support this stuff. And now you want to add in a new complexity, a new brand. That's one of the number one problems we have when we talk to a new dealer about converting to Qualys. They're like, oh, all the work involved to convert. I recognize that your platform is superior and we love it, but I've got to train all my support people. I've got to train all my technicians. I got to train all my interior people. I got to change all our processes. I got to change all our marketing. It's a huge, huge endeavor. And we're seeing companies that have tackled this and done it well have really loved it in the end, but it was no shortage of work during the process. It really is a lot of effort. The other thing is when you're holding your own accounts, you got to be watching for those wolves. There are competition out there trying to take over your panels. In fact, I've heard of door-to-door reps coming out as early as 6 to 8 months before the contract is up because they want to make sure that they can try and catch them before you've made proactive efforts to keep them. You know, before you send out an email or a letter, a bill insert or whatever to say, you know, it's time to renew your contract. Here, maybe get some new equipment, things like that. They've already switched them over. They've already made a commitment to them. And in many cases, because those sales reps are making so much in commission, they're willing to pay off the remaining amount of their contract because they know that they're going to make several $100s in commission on it. And it's worth it to them to get their numbers up and things like that. So you've got to be aware of it. The other thing is, time is running out. That 3G cellular technology is sunsetting. We've shared examples on previous webinars of how that's going away. It's still not gone, and there's promises from various people saying that we're going to continue to support it here and there. But as we know with any technology, eventually it's not going to be there. So you've got to be thinking about it. What do I do with those accounts that are suddenly going to stop working, and how do I handle that? So you're stuck with this scale. How do I balance between existing customers and new installs? How do I put my effort into new installs when I'm still trying to balance my existing ones? It's a juggling act. Yeah. And then the state of the market is, and we talked about this in previous webinars as well, most of those customers have rubber button keypads, many of them with landline, 3G cellular, no encryption. And so the security industry is such that we're feeling the majority of our existing customers are a little behind in technology, whereas the tech industry is really, really above in their technology. And many of the consumers are looking at it saying, gosh, I don't want this old stuff anymore. I want to get the new stuff. How do I do that? And they're starting to consider canceling because they want the new stuff. In fact, I talked to one of our dealers, came over to our office just the other day on Friday, and he and I were talking about, I said, when you're losing customers, what percentage are you losing? And he shared with me the numbers. And I said, well, why are they leaving? And he said, a lot of them are leaving because they're wanting to go to these really inexpensive solutions that are coming out there. The Simply Safes, the, Nest, the Ring, things like that. People are looking at those, and Nest and Ring are doing such a good job marketing that they're saying it's easier for me to switch over to that other solution and save some money because they don't recognize or realize what they could get from your company, which again, if you've got all these proactive things in place that we've talked about today, the likelihood of them wanting to switch either because someone poaches them or because they want to switch to different technology goes down significantly, okay? So IQ Panel bridges the gap. And that's one of the things we love about the IQ Panel 2 Plus. If you've got rubber number pads, you've got unencrypted legacy wireless sensors, 3G cellular or landlines, and no automation, you can give them the IQ Panel and give them all of these things. So as we talk about here and transition from existing customer campaigns into taking the existing customers and upgrading their panels, that's one thing I want to make sure that we understand here is all 3 of these panels here are perfect for any situation. Whether you're walking into that home that has an existing Honeywell system or 2 gig system or a DSC system or even a hardwired system, you'll be able to use one of these 3 panels and take over as many of those existing sensors as you can and be able to give them the latest and greatest technology with all the stuff we've talked about on previous webinars, Bluetooth touchless disarming, the built-in panel camera,
encryption.
Can we share with them one of the cool things coming in 2.3?
No. They need to talk.
Whitney says if you guys start making comments, we'll tell you some of the cool stuff that's coming in 2.3.
You can tell Josh and you can tell Paul.
Private message.
We've got dozens and dozens of people on the webinar today and they're not chatting with us. So that's fine. Again, you're not required to talk.
You can tell them, but I want to know what you think.
So
he's going to tell you, you're going to tell chat.
What do you think?
The built-in panel camera. It's in every single
Oh,
panel.
now people are talking.
Oh, now we're talking? Yeah.
Oh, good. You are awake.
The built-in panel. Oh, they're awake, all right. They're listening intently. The built-in panel camera in our 2.3 software is going to have some significant improvements to it. One of the things, and I won't share all of them, but one of the things is the ability to peek in now or peek in next motion, just like an image sensor. So you'll be able to go from your alarm.com app and do a peek in, same as you could on an image sensor, and it will use the panel camera for it. So it's like getting a free image sensor when you get the software update.
So hold on, let's clarify. You get a free glass break sensor, a free camera, a free motion,
A free key fob.
a free key fob, 5 of those.
Yes.
And then you are getting a free image sensor. Just in case you don't
So if you're thinking about, hey, what do I have to offer my customer to get them to buy? So think about your existing database. Maybe you've got 1,000 customers out there that have existing 3G systems, maybe on a mix of rubber button keypads and some of those small touch screens like the 2 gig GC2 or the Simon XTI, things like that. Maybe you've got a mix of those customers, and you think, what do I have to incentivize them to get this? What if you did an upgrade campaign that said, buy today and get a free image sensor, free glass break, and free Bluetooth touchless disarming?
My favorite thing about that, though, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, you don't have
So
to.
excited.
You don't have to tell them that it comes with the panel. As part of your marketing, you could say, "Hey, I would normally charge for Bluetooth touchless disarming. I won't charge you to activate it if you decide to upgrade." So, and you're
Tell us
saying,
your
The
favorite.
best part about getting all of those devices built into the panel is it makes your upgrade campaigns so much more easy because now they have experience with the glass break, with the camera, with the
And then it's add another one.
yeah. So it's like, do you like it? Because we can get you more of those, not just where the panel is. That's one of my favorites.
absolutely, absolutely. The other thing to consider too is the easy install wizard. I think there's a lot of you on the call today who are probably thinking, okay, he showed me that slide with the truck, and how am I supposed to balance my existing, installs or my existing customers with the new installs I'm doing? I don't have the bandwidth for there. You might consider a DIY install, at least for your panel upgrades. You got a customer that's nearing the end of their term, and you want to try and upgrade them. You can give them the option: have a professional install or install it yourself. And you could use the on-screen DIY. The on-screen DIY self-install wizard, whatever you want to call it. You can use that to have the customer take their panel, plug it in, learn in all their sensors themselves, learn in all the Z-Waves themselves, and be able to do that. And if you haven't seen a demo of that, definitely reach out to your salesperson, or you could reach out to us and we'll be happy to share a demo of how that wizard works. Or you could go into your panel today, reboot the panel with some of the current software, and it should automatically pull up that DIY wizard. So it's a really nice thing. That's going to reduce a lot of your warehouse work. It's certainly going to increase your activation, and you can help track those activations too. So it's a really nice way to upgrade your existing database without having to worry about rolling trucks to do it. So that's what I'm pointing there. Let's talk overall customer upgrade program, okay? So the very first thing I want to say, look at the big red box on the bottom. Start slow. Measure your responses. Do not say, oh, I'm going to create a customer upgrade program and send it out to all 1,000, okay? What's going to happen when you do that, if you've got, again, let's say, take the example of I've got 1,000 existing customers. If I send it out to all 1,000 and it doesn't work, then when I send them another email, it's just annoying to them, okay? So start small. The dealer that we had in that I mentioned earlier today, who was in on Friday, this last week, he's going to start with 100 people. He's going to look at his list of people, and I said, do some analysis on your list. How many people are in that list? What are their situations? What are their monthly rates? Maybe you want to offer only to people that have a super high monthly rate or a super low monthly rate. Maybe you want to make an offer to only to people who have a camera or only to people who've logged in the past 30 days or things like that. Look at your list of existing customers and decide, how do I want to parse that up? And choose 100 people and say, I'm going to send it to that first 100 and gauge the response. The other thing to consider is, how do I want to get my responses? Am I getting a phone call? Am I sending them to a web portal and doing e-commerce? Am I just having the technicians do it? How do you want those upgrades to happen? How do you want customers to acknowledge that they want an upgrade? But let's just assume the generic one is what most people are going to do is they're going to create an email campaign. They're going to send the email out and have that come into a phone number. And that phone number is probably going to be like the retention department or the customer care department. And they're going to say, yeah, I got, an email today. I'd be interested in taking advantage of the offer you gave me. I'd like to learn more about that IQ panel, and the free Bluetooth key fobs you were talking about, that kind of thing. And so you can talk through that and decide, did that campaign work? If it didn't, you can try something different. We've got right now, I think, Whitney, you built 4 different campaigns for this kind of thing right now.
Yep.
And then we've got,
and they're all on the dealer portal.
They're all on the dealer portal.
Those HTMLs for yourself.
And we'll show those in just a moment. But also think about when you're talking about your call to action and what the customers, are doing. Why is it because that customer needs to upgrade? LTE is probably your first and biggest one. But new features are going to get them excited. Hopefully get them want to use it. Getting them encryption and security. You can build value in encryption and security. And that's something that some of these other smaller companies that are trying to steal away your companies don't have. Encryption and security is still new enough that most of the people don't have it. So you've got a real advantage right now. Take advantage of that while you have the advantage. How many times do you say advantage?
I'm counting.
Okay.
That was
New systems are going to reinvigorate usage. If you're looking at your usage and noticing that it's lower than you'd like it to be, having a new system is going to hopefully reinvigorate that and get them excited about doing it. And it's just fun and exciting to get new stuff, right?
Definitely.
Especially around Christmas. I mean, we're approaching the holiday season. So if you wanted to do some kind of holiday email saying, hey, as our Christmas present to you, Mr. Existing Customer, get a free, blah, blah, blah when you buy the new upgraded, system or whatever, however you want to structure it. There's certainly some fun ways you can do it around the holiday season that'll hopefully get that feeling of fun and exciting in their minds and make them want to do it. When should you offer upgrades? I would start 6 months before contract termination at least. You definitely want to start it immediately if they're month to month. And maybe you want to consider doing it if customers experience problems with their current system. I've had one customer who was telling me that he had a number of customers calling in when they got their new system. They opted not for the IQ panel. They wanted the lower option. And when they got that system, they were so disappointed that they returned it and they were going to cancel outright. And they said, no, hold on, let's talk about it. And they were able to upgrade them to the IQ panel instead.
That's awesome.
So, having those, whether it's a problem with the system, I can't get mine to work, or I just don't like the way it looks, or whatever it is, or just people who are bored with it, not using it anymore, it could definitely be an option for an upgrade, even if they're still under contract, because you don't want to lose that person or have them become a detractor for you. So they're always talking about how their crappy rubber button keypad, they don't ever use it, and as soon as my contract's up, I'm going to cancel. You don't want those kind of customers, right? You want the kind of customers who are using their system, loving it, and getting excited. Pricing is always a subject that people talk about. How do you structure price? We've got suggestions, but I would first start by looking at what do your consumers expect. Think about your cell phone. Chelsea, tell us about your cell phone plan. How did you buy your cell phone?
I paid for mine up front.
Okay.
I didn't want to do the month thing, so I just paid for it.
Why?
Why? I'm one that just likes things paid off.
Okay.
So that's what I preferred.
So it was to have a lower bill, kind of,
Yep.
even though technically you probably would have spent the same amount,
Yeah.
but you wanted a lower bill each month, and it was easy for you. Whitney, how about you? What did you do?
you picking on me?
No, I just picked on her.
I just barely upgraded.
You did?
I did. And we did the month payment, the monthly plan.
Mm-hmm.
But we
So you're
also
basically,
got,
you're not leasing, but you're buying your equipment and you're
we-
financing it. Basically.
yeah, and then we got the coverage where we get an upgrade every year.
Okay.
So we pay like an extra, I don't know what it is.
When was the last time you upgraded your phone?
Last fall.
Last fall. Before that?
3 years. I had the iPhone 6 before I upgraded to the 8 Plus.
Okay. How about you?
Yeah.
I upgraded this year.
Okay.
I upgraded last year.
Okay.
And then I upgraded, I think, 2 years before that. So it was 2 years, 1 year, 1 year.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that most of your experiences are very similar to these ladies. And if you look at how you buy things, compare that to the pricing structures you have for your security account. Is it similar? I'm willing to bet that there's some discrepancies there. I'm willing to bet that if you look at it, you've only got one option for customers. And because you've only got one option, it's not going to fit everyone. And so you probably should ask yourself, do I want to have some different choices? Do I want to have the ability to buy everything up front and have a lower monthly bill?
The best thing about this, though, I think that's key, is giving your customer options. When you do your cell phone, you have a choice. and you hand it to the customer. Well, I don't want to pay for my cell phone. I want to get it for free. Then that's where you say, okay, great, we have an option for that. But it's this flip phone that you haven't seen in 30 years, and it's got this really great antenna, but it doesn't have the screen, And then you're forcing your customer to kind of come to terms with what they're willing to fit into, if that makes sense.
There's some interesting comments here. Eric says, consumers expect things for free. I think you're right. I think you're right that many consumers, especially from a security standpoint, expect things for free. And there should be, and maybe there needs to be, a free option. If I go to the Verizon store right now to get a new phone, I guarantee they will have a free option. 100% agree with that. Does that mean that the new iPhone XS is the free option?
No.
No.
It's going to be a brick.
It's going to be a giant, ugly, crappy phone that if you want the free option, you can, or you can pay for it. And that's what consumers expect. You're absolutely right. They expect something for free. But that doesn't mean they expect everything for free. And if the reason they're expecting everything for free from you guys, I would seriously look at your sales practices and find out if your people are selling on price. Because if they're selling on features, if they're selling on capabilities, here's what you can do with the system, here's what you can have with the system, here's how it's going to let you know, here's how it's going to keep you informed, that kind of stuff, you're going to see a trend changing the way you market, and your customers are going to stop asking about price. Kelsey, when you bought the new phone, go ahead.
I was just going to say probably what you were saying. We sat down in your office, actually, and watched the Apple, Keynote, yes. And we all were sold before we even knew the price.
Yeah.
Because we knew the features. We knew it had a better camera. We knew the software was going to be a little bit different, but it wasn't, they didn't start with the price and then say, okay, so for $1,200, you're going to get the new iPhone, and then go into the benefits and the features.
Well, look at the new players that are coming into the market right now with the Nest and the Amazon. Look at what they're marketing. You need to be aware of it. You need to be educated on it, because that's not what they're selling.
No.
They're not selling free at all.
Not at all. And people
and it's kind of impressive.
People are paying top dollar. Think about it. You paid, what, $800, $1,000 for the new phone? That's a lot of money to spend on that. It's hard for me to believe that when you share all the features that this thing can do, that a customer wouldn't be willing to spend a few $100s at least for your system. So the whole argument that it should be free, I agree there should be something free for some customers, but I think the majority of those customers are buying smartphones, they're buying tablets, and they're used to paying something if the technology is good enough. Because if it's not good enough, you're right. They're not gonna pay for a rubber button keypad. They won't.
Well, the free could be what Whitney was talking about, where it is the Bluetooth disarming, so the key fobs, the free camera, things like that. It doesn't have to be, here's the panel for free. Yeah, it's everything that comes with the panel, but your customer's getting it for free.
And it's a huge mindset shift, especially for the market as it's been. I mean, we've been in it, I think, between all of us for dang near 40 years. The market, it's demanding a shift right now. If we don't get on board, we're going to miss the train. So it's kind of like, we have to take the mindset shift when it comes to the sale, and that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this webinar. That's why we're offering all these things. We want to help get you through it. You're not alone in this. That's what sets us apart.
Well, again, look at what your consumers expect. I love what Chris just said. Too many options is just as bad.
Absolutely.
100% agree. If you're looking at it, you're like, if you went to this, did you do Verizon?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to the Verizon store. And you're looking at it, you're like, okay, well, I could do option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Well, which one do I do? I'd like that. No, they presented you with what, 2 or 3 options?
Yep.
Pay up front or finance. 2 options, right? Maybe there's a third one of lease or something like that. And I've heard of some dealers even doing that, where they say, we're going to lease you the equipment and do it. In fact, I think Brinks is a great example of that. Their DIY program, they have no contract. But if you cancel the service, you have to send your equipment back. Because you don't own the equipment.
Yeah.
Now, what condition that equipment comes, I don't know, and how often they're getting canceled. Again, I don't know, but so go ahead.
We have a great question from Eric. He says, is there a way to use the IQ panel as a smart home platform and transition them into the security customers?
Eric, that's a really great point. I think that's exactly what D.R. Horton is doing. D.R. Horton, America's #1 home builder, is actually putting a smart home system in every single home. And then the security dealers that are installing that are having the option to go in and sell them on, hey, let's upgrade you to security, life safety, things like that.
It's your pitch. I mean, the panel's already built that way. So it's your pitch.
It all comes down to your pitch. how are you going to sell the system? Are you going to focus on security, or are you going to focus on, life safety, or are you going to focus on smart home? What are you going to do? And what's the customer asking about? What are they interested in? In fact, on our dealer portal, we've got some scripts on there. I believe they're the outbound sales scripts that have some of that exact stuff. You ask the right questions to determine, is this person more interested in security or more interested in lifestyle or things like that?
Well, and that's even helpful to me when I go to ISC or ESX once or twice a year. When I talk to a dealer, I want to know what you guys need. What's your market like? What are your hurdles? And that's going to change the way I present the panel, because what you care about isn't the same as the dealer standing right next to you.
Yep, we had a dealer the other day who was coming to us and saying, we want to use this as a wellness platform. We want to use it for, senior citizen communities. We want wellness buttons, bed sensors, chair sensors, things like that. And when we started talking about security, they're like, no, you're not understanding. Wellness, not security, wellness. And it still works that way. We had to change the way we were pitching it, saying, okay, let's take the security aspect out of it, take the, lifestyle stuff out, and focus it only on this. And it's a little bit of a change for many of us because we're used to doing security so often. But you have to recognize that, the majority of people using the systems now are not using it for security. My house, we arm the system at night, but part of that is also to save money. It's not necessarily to actually secure our home. I'm not worried about someone breaking in.
So it's great to break into this house.
Still armed. Still armed. It's just the majority of
is a perfect example of that, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got kids coming and going. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just gonna say the light bulbs that turn on and off automatically when you open or close the door. You're seeing the notifications, I think.
And there's two things on that. The reason that works so well is, number one, we have got a lot of devices.
Yep.
As customers are getting things, and we talked about that customer life cycle, right? If you're not talking to them all throughout their life cycle saying, hey, do you want this smart light bulb? Hey, do you want that smart lock? Hey, video doorbells, we sell them. You didn't buy it when you got it installed, so let's buy it now. It's been 6 months, a year and a half, whatever it is. If you're offering those upgrades on a regular basis, in addition to tips and tricks on how to use things, then when it comes time to actually do an upgrade of the full system, your customer is much more apt to do it. And you'll get a better gauge of, is this customer using it for lifestyle stuff or energy management stuff, life safety stuff, security stuff? Every single customer is going to be a little bit different.
Well, and you'll also, these Nest and Amazon, all those people have our consumer emails. Like they're targeting your market. I got an email today from them about a new product that they launched.
Yep.
And I don't even have Nest, but they have my email. And so people are going to be coming after your customers whether or not you do anything. So if your customers don't know that you integrate with Nest or that you can offer a smart light bulb or a smart door lock, if they don't know that you can do that, they're going to go to someone who can and that they know, and people that are already emailing them and already calling them. So starting something like this, well, yes, start slow and start where you're at.
Yep. And we've got resources to show you. In fact, I'm going to pull those up right now. If I go to the dealer portal, and hopefully you guys have access to the dealer portal. If you don't, please send an email to marketing@qualsys.com, or you can go to dealers.qualsys.com and click register. If I go into the dealer portal now, I can go mouse over downloads, click on residential, and under residential, at the very bottom of the page, you see lots of marketing downloads in here. There's that script I was talking about. I just want to pull this up real quick just to talk about this for a moment. Hey, as you're asking initial probing questions, there's a lot of different things you're asking. You might say, what's more important to you? Home security, life safety, convenience, or saving energy? And as they answer that then goes to either a security approach, a life safety approach, a convenience approach, or a saving energy approach. So again, use these scripts as a starting point for the conversations that your salespeople are having in whatever way they're having them.
Well, and have your salespeople have the system and have these things, because then you don't need a script. It just happens.
Yep.
And Jeremy's another great example of that. You have a situation, he has an answer because he has it
because
in his house.
I've tried to have everything so I can understand it. Yeah.
How many devices do you have again? It's like some
I've
crazy
got
numbers.
No, it's not terribly crazy. And there's certainly people that have bigger ones. I think I've got 40 or 47 Z-Wave devices, and
I have like 6.
And then like 52.
I need to pick up the pace. Apparently.
You really do. You really do. Website. Scroll to the very bottom of your dealer portal. So under residential downloads, the very bottom, you'll see 2 new folders: upgrade email campaign and upgrade device campaign. And within there, I've already downloaded those files. You can see here, I'll open this up. So here's an example of a security device, security sensor hit. Adding a new sensor is easy, can give useful notifications. You could put them on interior doors, windows, medicine cabinets, doggy door, mailbox. And there's a little video you can watch about it. And add one today, call this phone number. So again, these nice generic emails ready for your logos. Here's one about the flood sensor. Add a flood sensor to your system today, device, the Sky Bell.
All these pictures, all these videos, if you want to build your own, you can find them on the dealer portal. That's where I got them when I built the email to begin with. So you're good.
So whether you want to use devices or you want to do an upgrade upgrade campaign for your existing customers to try and upgrade them to a new panel, one of the 3 IQ Panel 2 Pluses, we've got some starting points there. But again, these are only starting points. Customize them all you want. And if you don't see something you want help with it, we're here.
Yeah.
Send an email to marketing@qualtrics.com and say, hey, I really would love to run an email campaign with the promo being a free glass break detector. Could you make something for me? We'd be happy to. We'll have it to you very shortly. You can go test it out, see how it works with your first 100 customers, and if it works, great, keep going. If it doesn't work, great. Come back to us and say, that didn't seem to work. Let's try something new. And we'll work with you. That's our whole goal, is to try and build something for you that's going to really be successful so that you can do what you need to do with your customers. Other questions, comments?
I think we are pretty much caught up.
All right. Well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure today. Again, we recorded this.
Yeah. So we'll post it in the next couple hours, by the end of the day for sure.
So if you want to re-watch it again and still not make comments.
Sorry.
We really appreciate it. For those of you watching this in recorded session, we hope you join our next webinar. We do these every 2 weeks for sales and marketing. And on the opposite week, we're doing a technical webinar. So next week's technical webinar is what? You remember?
Z-Wave.
Z-Wave devices.
Yes, Z-Wave. It's not devices. It's Z-Wave light bulbs.
Z-Wave light bulbs. Okay.
That's
so we've got a technical webinar all about Z-Wave light bulbs for your technicians and installers and support people and things like that. Be a great webinar to attend. And then we'll be following up in 2 weeks from today with another webinar. And we're not going to tell you what that one is, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope you'll join us. Thank you to everyone that joined in today. For those few of you that decided to make comments and type your questions in, we really do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
It did. We love the participation because it helps make this take on a life of its own and make sure that we're tailoring this to something that you actually need. So we really do appreciate it. I can't remember if we had a poll question or not that we wanted to ask before we leave.
You better hurry up.
Yeah, let's just do this one real quick. Is your company currently installing Qualtis products? Yes or not yet? Be good to know. Again, everyone, thank you very much for your time. After you voted, feel free to drop. If you do have other questions or comments, please type them into the chat section right now. We would love to get to them before we end the webinar today. And we hope to see you on our next webinar. And certainly, if you need anything at all, don't forget you can email us at marketing@qualtrics.com, and we'll be sure to help you out. Chelsea, thanks for your time today, and thanks for the story.
Yeah.
Whitney, thank you for all your input. It was really awesome today. Thank you. Yeah, glad you're on.
Have a good week.
Everyone, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.